Now, 2 weeks after the hostage crisis in Algeria, these are the first pictures inside the gas facility where the attack happened. A 4-day siege between the militants and Algerian military resulted in the deaths of 38 hostages. The site's jointly run by BP, Statoil and Sonatrach. The incident has raised questions, obviously, about security at sites run by multinational companies. Algeria produces almost 2 million barrels of oil a day, making it Africa's second biggest oil producer after Nigeria. Joining us now is Neil Atkinson, Research and Analysis Director for Energy at Data Monitor. Before the Algerian crisis, Nigeria had faced this kind of stuff for many years, hadn't it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for many, many years, rebels in the Niger Delta had been blowing up pipelines, attacking other types of oil infrastructure in the Niger Delta and causing substantial losses of production. So it's not new to Africa to see this kind of thing. But I think what we've seen in Algeria is actually something perhaps rather different. And it's come as a major wake-up call to the international industry.
What is increasing this activity? Is it fundamentalism? Is it seeing these places as being very vulnerable?
Well, around the world, you see examples of fundamentalism, you see examples of banditry, and I suspect what we're seeing here in Algeria is actually fundamentalism rather more than banditry, not helped by the fact that the West, again in the form of France and Great Britain, has decided for reasons of its own to intervene in Mali, which is like a sort of red rag to a bull as far as fundamentalists are concerned. And we may well have actually opened up a bit of a Pandora's box here and opened up the possibility of similar incidents in other Middle East or North African producing countries.
Indeed. Tell us about security and tell us about the relationship that multinationals have to have with domestic governments, because it must be very difficult. I mean, if you were a president of a country, you wouldn't necessarily want armed guards from a multinational running around your territory, would you?
No, but the companies are there essentially at the behest of the host governments. I mean, the countries such as Algeria, most of the Middle East and North African countries, they have state-owned oil industries and they bring in outside companies for their expertise. And it's in the interests of the government of Algeria, and indeed the other governments for that matter, to keep the oil and gas flowing at almost all costs, because it's 75–80% of their export earnings. So they have to keep the oil flowing. Now, it's in their interest to keep it flowing, so they have to keep the facilities secure. Most facilities, not all, but most are in fairly remote locations. So they have to be very well protected.
Where do these security people actually come from? Are they ex-services personnel?
There's a mix, but within the oil industry for many, many years there's been a tradition that a lot of ex-military people who come out of the services will go to major oil companies. In Britain, there was a very regular sort of traffic between BP and Shell and and ex-military or ex-security services people. And because of the sheer importance of the oil industry, not just financially but strategically in terms of how countries receive their energy supply, it's in the interests of governments and indeed the major companies to see that the very best intelligence is available and the best intelligence people.
Would you ever see a likelihood of an oil company saying, we've had enough, we cannot maintain this sort of level of security and still, put bluntly, make a profit?
That would be, I think, pretty extreme, because even in the case of Algeria, there is no doubt whatsoever the Algerian government, which has been faced with a form of insurgency on and off for 20 years now, will do whatever it takes. So it's hard to see a situation where the likes of BP would pull out of a country, short of an all-out war. Of course, war is a different situation. It's an escalation.
Indeed.
But the kind of situation we're talking about here, hard to see a company just pulling out.
Neil Atkinson, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And that's the thing. This is oil is found in dangerous places. That's the problem, and that's going to remain with us for a very long time. Don't see the oil price going down much either, I have to say.